English teacher for Vietnamese students. Most of them were pretty wealthy, and they could all speak English, so it's basically like teaching at an American high school, but in Vietnam. And I was in Saigon. I was in Ho Chi Minh City. I lived there for 2 years. So on my second year, I started the school year up, and we had a new technology teacher that year. She was a little bit older, maybe like 20 years older than I was, or than I am. Let's call her LB. We'll call her LB. So LB started the school year up, and I am a fairly reserved person, especially when it comes to the workplace. I have social anxiety. I don't like to say severe social anxiety because I consider severe social anxiety to mean that it's crippling and that you can't go to work at all and you don't want to leave your house. Some days it felt that way, but most days I was able to go to work and be a normal human operating in society. But I was reserved and kind of shy. I kind of avoided the lunchroom, stayed in my classroom for lunches and stuff, but because students would constantly be coming in asking for help with homework or just wanting to chat, and it's kind of why I became an English teacher in the first place, because I really wanted to help out the kids who needed an ear or needed kind of, not necessarily a friend, but like a mentor or someone to just think that they were important and care about them. So that's kind of what happened during lunch periods in my room. After a while I got a little old because I had work that I needed to do and the kids were really loud, but that was my own fault. But eventually LB started coming up into my classroom to chat, and I knew that she was new to the school. I know that it's hard to be new to a foreign city, a foreign country, even though she had been kind of doing the international teaching circuit for a long time, probably for 20 years or so. So I was friendly to her. I was open to her coming in. I was happy. I wouldn't say happy, but I would chat with her. And then, I'd make some excuse like, oh, I gotta go meet up with so-and-so to go over lesson plans, or I have a meeting, or I have to get to a yoga class, or whatever, just because she would kind of keep talking and talking. So eventually she asked me to hang out with her. So I kind of came up with an excuse the first couple of times because I just got this kind of strange vibe from her, and I already didn't really like she did start to tell me about how at one of her old international schools, the local people started to consider her a witch. They felt that she had like a dark spirit and that she was a witch, and she was kind of fishing for me to be like, no, you're not a witch, you don't have a dark spirit. But I was like, damn, like maybe you are a witch. And she like had me sit down on the couch and close my eyes while she did some weird like hand movements over my face. And I was like, okay, LB, like I gotta go. This has been really fun, but I'm gonna go. So I left and kind of avoided hanging out with her as much as I could. But then I volunteered to take the freshman class to Malaysia as like a field trip, and I was able to lead that trip, which was really cool. And I got to choose the people that went with me, and I specifically did not choose LB, but somehow she went to the principal and said, I need to be on this trip. I really think it's very important for me to be there. I want this opportunity. I don't know why you're not allowing it. She like forced her way into this trip. And I was very disappointed, but I was kind about it. I was polite, you know. We were fine. I tried to keep my distance from her because she kept showing up in my classroom all the time. And things were awkward, and I tried to keep things as civil as I could. So anyway, we went on this trip. It wasn't bad, but she ended up finding a way to sit next to me on the plane, on the bus. You know, she knew where my hotel room was when we were in Malaysia. She was just constantly trying. She was like following me around all the time. So eventually, I had trouble making a boundary for her. So our next school vacation came up, and LB said, let's go to an island together for our vacation. It'll be so fun. We can get a little bungalow and we can hang out together the whole vacation. And I was like, LB, I'm going on vacation with somebody else. And I couldn't tell her who it was because it was my boyfriend, who I was secretly dating because he was the gym teacher. And I didn't want her or anybody in my business, and I didn't want anyone to know about it. So I was like, I'm going on vacation with somebody else. Like, I'm really sorry. Maybe we can hang out when I get back. And then somehow she must have gone through my emails or something, but she found out where I was going, who I was going with, and where I was staying. And the way that I found out that she knew, I got a phone call from the hotel where I had made a reservation with my boyfriend saying, oh, LB called to say that you wanted an adjoining room. And I said, excuse me, what did you say, please? And I said, no, that is not going to happen. I don't know why she sent that to you. Please make sure that does not happen. I think I ended up making a different reservation with another hotel, but I don't remember if I confronted her about it, but I was totally freaked out, and I hope you understand why. I had not told her where we were going or who I was going with, but somehow she figured it out, went around me, and contacted the hotel to stay basically with us. So at that point, I was totally freaked out, and I told her to leave me alone. Don't talk to me anymore. Don't come to my classroom anymore. And one day, she did not take that well. One day, I had gone to the bathroom. My classroom lights were off because I think I was getting ready to leave for the day or something. I come back to my classroom in the dark. There's LB sitting in like the back row of my classroom. And I was just like, what are you doing here? Like, I don't want to talk to you. I don't want anything to do with you. She got very angry and left, and she started telling students, she started showing up in my classroom while I had students. So I couldn't even say anything to her because I didn't want the students to be freaked out by this witch that was stalking me. So, I finally had to go to the principal about it, which sounds so stupid, but she was really scaring me. She knew where I lived. She could find anything out about me, apparently. So I went to the principal. I ended up, I had signed a contract to teach for 2 more years in Vietnam. I ended up canceling that contract because she freaked me out so much, and it seemed like she was going to be able to teach there another year. Eventually, the principal told me, no, we have terminated her contract because of this, and because of what's been going on, so please come back. And by that point, I was just so exhausted by the whole situation that I ended up moving back to America. And I left teaching altogether. I didn't leave teaching because of her. I left it for multiple reasons, but that was like not a good feeling. It wasn't a good situation for me to be in abroad. It totally freaked me out, and one of the worst parts was like my boyfriend at the time didn't really believe the extent of it, kinda, until she tried to come on our vacation with us. That's when he started to believe me, but people thought I was kind of going overboard, but really she was manipulating me and others to like get close to me, and I don't know if she was trying to intimidate me or what, but she obviously had some things that she needed to work out. So that is my LB story. Let's move on to my other stalker. So when I lived in Kentucky, sorry, that was my stomach. When I lived in Kentucky, I'm gonna turn the mic down a little bit because I can hear some weird noises, so I'll get a little closer to the mic. Okay, I was living in Kentucky. I started working at this burger restaurant there. I ended up working there for 5 years. We started out in this very small, kind of rundown building. I applied just because it was right around the corner from my apartment and I could just walk there. I made pretty good money. We got really busy, so we moved to a bigger location in a nicer part of town. So that bigger location had apartments above us, and I was there all the time because I was the general manager. I was working between 50 and 80 hours a week, and we'll call this guy Ron. Ron used to come down and get takeout orders a lot. gosh, who are these people out here who saw, so basically like sorry, I'm all over the place. A missed connection post could sound like this. To the girl at the grocery store in the red shirt with the beautiful blue eyes. Like, I really thought you were gorgeous. Will you please go on a date with me? If you see this, this is my phone number. So, this girlfriend liked to go on missed connections just because she thought it was funny. And she found a post that said to the girl who works in the burger restaurant in Nulu, thank you so much for my burger today. You have beautiful brown eyes. Or something like that. I wish I had kept snapshots of them. And so my kitchen manager showed me this post, and I was like, oh my god, like, who is that? And then I was like, well, there's another burger restaurant in this neighborhood, so it's probably that burger restaurant, or maybe it's this other girl who works with us. Like, it's probably harmless. So about 3 weeks later, her girlfriend finds another ad, and it's much more specific this time. So we're calling this guy who lives upstairs Ron. Ron and I had a brief conversation about his birthday or something, or my birthday, or I don't remember. But it was basically like, to the brown-haired, brown-eyed girl who works in a burger restaurant, thank you for talking to me about your birthday today. Your new haircut looks gorgeous. And yes, I had a new haircut that day. So at that point, I'm like, okay, it's Ron making these weird fucking posts about me. The posts continued for like 5 months. Every month or so, or every 3 weeks, he would post something more and more specific. And I interacted with him almost every day, and it was very uncomfortable because he was kind of a weirdo. And you know, I try not to be judgmental, but he had like this look in his eyes where he could like do anything and not feel bad about it. I think you call that like a sociopath or something. The only saving grace was that he lived with his sister, who was amazing and sweet, and I feel like she might have kept him grounded a little bit so that he didn't steal me and murder me in their apartment. So I told my boss about these posts, and at first they kind of brushed them off, but as they got more and more specific and more creepy, they started letting me like park in a special parking spot. My boss ended up giving me pepper spray and like this, I meant to get it for the video, but I can't find it. It's like this squishy thing with claws that when you squeeze it, the claws pop out and you can like slash someone in the face with it. So like, I had to be worried every time that I walked to my car at night. Every day that I came into work, I had to be worried that this guy was going to try to do something to me. So we eventually called the police and showed them all of these posts, and the police couldn't do anything. So the owner, the husband of the owner, went and ended up knocking on his door I ran out